Today we're talking about whiskey tasting tips, ways to train your palate, marketing fluff, and some more stuff. We're answering your questions. Let's get into it.
Welcome back to Stuff on Whiskey. I'm Erin.
I'm Josh, and we are answering your questions today. We do these monthly. Got a ton of questions. These are actually some questions that were submitted in January. We had so many.
Yes.
We don't want the videos to go on
We're
too long.
We're splitting the January questions into two videos.
And a lot of people from our January Q&A request for questions, which we ask for over on Patreon, on our Discord. We also ask in the community tab on YouTube, which comes up in your feed if you're looking at this.
Yep.
But a lot of people ask where we got the graphic for the thumbnail. And
the thumbnail that requested the questions.
Right. And I'm popping up on the screen right now. It's a caricature.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a caricature from Mike. MikeCartoons.com. Mike Doherty. Awesome caricature. We did not ask him to do it.
No.
He just said, hey, I do this. Thought I would do one of you guys. We love it.
It was so good. And so it's the banner. If you go check out our Patreon page, it's the banner on our Patreon page because I loved it. I put it up there.
Yeah. And while you're on Patreon, if you want to join the best dang whiskey community on planet Earth, you can do that through our Patreon. That's also where we release our barrel picks. You can get in on our Discord. We're always talking whiskey, helping each other find stuff. Not each other. Like the community's helping other people in the community find things. Yeah, it's a great place to be. So bonus content, all kinds of stuff over there.
All right, let's get into the questions. We have
Let's go.
A stack.
Let's
all
roll.
Right. R. Hayes 458 asks, if you were trying to train your palate to pick up common notes and profiles of predominant whiskeys, what bottles would you recommend?
So this is more of a me question.
I have no idea. I'm going to let Josh take this one.
Yeah, this is more of a whiskey nerd question. I think the best thing you can do, if you can do it, if you can find them, is to try to get the core expression from the distillery and then an expression from the distillery that has some age to it. So if you're talking about, Old Forester, try to get Old Forester Signature 100 or 86. And then, terrible example because they don't have a lot of age on their products, but then try to get like an elevated expression of it too. So get Old Forester 100 and then get something like the 1897 Bottled in Bond from Whiskey Row. Same proof point. One just is crafted to a little bit higher profile.
Okay.
Maybe a better example would have been something like getting the Knob Creek 9-year, getting the Knob Creek 12-year, or getting Buffalo Trace and then getting Eagle Rare or something along those lines, because the base product will help you know what that distillery tastes like. And then with the elevated product, you can see what that tastes like with some age behind it as well.
That's a good theory. I like it. All right. Ricky Conage 7939 asks, crazy how your palate changes over time. Was out one night and tried Knob Creek in Woodford and was in love. It's been 10 years and I haven't picked them up since. Now I'm doing dry January because these questions are from January. Do you think my palate will reset and I'll like them again? That's also a question I don't know, so I'm going to let you take this one.
Yeah, I think it's possible that you might find yourself gravitating back towards that because maybe you've drank more things. Maybe you've gone up in proof. Maybe you've gone up in age. You're used to drinking nicer pours, for lack of a better word. And then when you take a month off, you can come back and those nicer pours that are higher proof you've been liking, they might come across a little abrasive to you. And something like Knob Creek or Woodford might be more suitable to your palate.
Well, because your palate, the more you drink something, that your palate acclimates to it.
Yeah.
So if you're drinking other things, it's going to acclimate to the other things. So that makes sense that if you maybe take a break, you might reset it. It might take longer than a month, though.
Yeah, and it also, it's probably not going to stick. Like, you, for instance, your family, we're filming this in January. It's coming out again in March. But just a few weeks ago, we went to your family's for Christmas, and your family is a dry house, so we don't drink over there, and that's totally fine. So not self-imposed, but, a situationally imposed dry week that I respect. We both respect the rules of your family. So I was off for a week. I tend to like high proof, really flavorful, impactful bourbon. We came back home. The first thing I poured myself was Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, because that's kind of my go-to, and it dang near blew my face off, Now, the next, glass in, I was fine and acclimated, and I was enjoying it. But that first glass, that first night it was a lot,
Yeah.
When I'm used to drinking that, it doesn't hit me that way. So
yeah, that's fair. All right. Moving on. Kirkland Ichi 93.7. Sorry if I mess up these screen names. When you're sipping bourbon on any normal occasion, would there be anything other than water that you might reach for to cleanse your palate?
So he goes on to say, to interrupt because we don't need to read all that, but he goes on talking about like sweet tea with lemon and everything.
Mm-hmm.
In our experience, water works great. I mean, whatever works for you. I think the biggest thing is to be consistent in that, keeping in mind that anything you do drink is going to affect your palate. Or not drinking things will affect your palate. Or if you try one thing and then try the next thing, the thing you just tried, the glass of whiskey you tried before the next glass of whiskey will affect your palate. Everything affects your palate. So for us, we like to keep it as clean as possible with water. But truthfully speaking, in our head-to-heads, we do water, but also time. That's why those videos have a cut in the middle of them, because we will take a sip of water and we will give ourselves some time.
Speaking of water.
Because you can have residual water in your mouth that could then affect the pour right after that. So the best thing for us is time plus water, or I should say water and then some time for the residual water to get out of your mouth before going on to the next thing.
Yeah, I don't think that closely about it as Josh does. I just drink water and move on.
Yeah.
But typically it is water.
Yeah. Some people do Coke, some people do seltzer, some people, whatever works for you.
Thank you for your question. All right. Whoa, that one just came right back.
Yeah, we have a big sound blanket / white bounce right here, and Aaron's just flinging the cards, and they're bouncing right back.
Mark Gale asks, do West Coast and Texas whiskeys stand up to Midwestern and Southern whiskeys, or are Southern spirits just that much better because of the heat and humidity? I don't know if I would say they're better. They're just different.
Different, yeah. Yeah, better is such a hard term to pin down when you're talking about something as subjective as taste.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're used to drinking Texas whiskey and you like that, it's going to be better than like Kentucky or Tennessee or Indiana whiskey. If you're used to drinking Kentucky,
Indiana,
Tennessee whiskey, then you're going to think it's better because that's what your palate prefers. I will say that I personally do believe that the climate in Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, that type of climate, and Indiana is more conducive to making whiskey good in an easier way than other places.
Texas whiskey can be 2 years old and taste like it's 8.
It can, but I feel like I've had a lot more bad Texas whiskey.
Fair.
And I've had a lot more
Texas whiskey that you don't like and might not be bad.
Right.
You just don't
exactly.
like it.
Yeah. So it's all on what your palate prefers, but I do think the conditions, we're in Nashville, Tennessee, the conditions in this general region in the Southeast are a little bit, it's easier to make whiskey that tastes good to a more variety of palates than it is in a place like Texas or even like Pacific Northwest. That's
would Indiana be considered Midwestern whiskey though?
Yeah, but it's the climate right over the river is not too different than like Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
So getting down in here into Tennessee and Georgia, you start getting a little bit more heat, but
Thank you for your question,
great question.
Mark. Ooh. Okay. Whiskey Guy 1959 asks how much of the story attached to the bottle matters. Example, Booker's, Master's Keep, Russell Single, Rickhouse, Buffalo Trace, Traveler. Are they significantly better than other bottles in the distillery's lineup to justify the premium, and is this verified by your blind tastings?
Pardon me. So
I know nothing about any of these bottles, so the story doesn't matter a hill of beans to me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know them. I don't know the stories.
I will
personally.
say, yeah, I mean, Booker's kind of revolutionized the story. Like it was such a smart marketing thing. He would specifically choose bottles and barrels from the warehouse, and he would like put a label on them and write a little story on them and give them to people as Christmas gifts, like way back when.
I mean, that's cool when he would personally give them to people.
Right. And it's back then, maybe it was a little different, and they were, I still think a lot of places are more choice about the barrels they put in those types of things. Whether it makes them better or not, I don't know. That's all depending on your palate. For me, it's not.
Right. I don't think the story makes what's in the glass inherently better.
Yeah. Which we do a lot of blind tastings, so we prefer to let the glass do the talking. But a lot of people will definitely co-sign that you drink with your eyes first. So the way the bottle looks, the marketing fluff around the bottle, all that stuff matters to your perception of what you're about to drink.
And I think you have a very good point. And I think because we do a lot of stuff blind, that is exactly what you said is why we do it blind. Because we don't want to be influenced by the marketing. We don't want to be influenced by I'm influenced by a pretty bottle. I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
I am. And if I knew the stories, I might be influenced by them. But we do the blind tastings the way we do them specifically so that doesn't influence it. So I don't think the influence that those things have make the whiskey better whiskey, but it might
make the perception
of it. There's a little endearment of that whiskey to you.
Right.
So therefore, you could think it tastes better, or it could taste better to you for that reason. It's influenced by that. I think 100% it does influence it.
Yep.
I don't think it changes the flavor of the whiskey if there was a story or not.
Yeah, I also think very few distilleries are actually doing blind tastings to determine what goes into what they're putting in their special release products. I think they're just going around saying, we know this area of the warehouse does pretty good. Let's find some choice barrels that we really like, and these seem elevated. And they do it enough that they can key in on that. But yeah, great question.
Yeah, very good question. Thank you for asking. All right, Jeff Voigt, 6138. Two-parter. 1, do you have a method for organizing your whiskey? 2, how do you use up bottles that aren't particularly your favorites?
Well, let's answer the second one first. Okay. How do we use up bottles that are not our favorites?
We put them in cocktails?
When's the last time you poured a drink for yourself?
When I was single.
Right. I take care of her. That's my job, is to take care of her.
He takes care of me in the drink department.
So Aaron doesn't know the answer to this question. Yes, they will go in cocktails.
And he's not being mean by saying that. It's true.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I make coffee for you every morning.
Yeah.
Like that's my honor to be able to do that for you.
I love that too.
Yeah, I take care of you. So for me, they'll go in cocktails, or I'll blend them together, or I'll find somebody that does like the bottle or wants to try the bottle and just give it to them locally, things like that. So that's the answer to that. The first question of organizing our whiskey, again, this is a me question because Erin doesn't dabble in this. We call her the social sipper. She hanging out, having fun, enjoying whatever's in the glass. For us, organizing whiskey, I should do better at it. Realistically speaking, I've got a couple of different areas of the house. Like these cabinets over here that you see, that's where some of our favorite bottles go. I also have a cabinet in our kitchen that's enclosed. You cannot see into it. And if somebody's over and I want to pull something nice out and make an impression, I can open that up and pull out a bottle for them. Or I can come back here and grab an even specialer bottle if they're really a whiskey enthusiast and want to try something cool. And then we have a little bar cart that we keep a little bit more regular things on that we might grab quickly for, a quick drink or a cocktail or something like that. But that's our methodology. It's not very organized. It's definitely not very good.
We don't have a ton of space in our home, so we've just made do with a lot of hidden storage. So because that's what we've got.
And I do try to group distilleries together as well, so that I know if I want something from that distillery or that flavor profile, like that cabinet over there on Aaron's side, it has a little bit more of the sweet stuff in it, whether it's low proof, high proof, doesn't matter. That stuff over there is a little bit more sweet. The stuff that's in this cabinet over here is like special release type of stuff, international whiskey, things like that.
That's a good question. Thank you for asking. Yep. All right. Rai Fieri or Nathan Jurgensen asks, some brands are going to...
Fieri, isn't it?
I'm not Italian. I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead.
Some brands are going to shut down as the bourbon FOMO slows. Which ones aren't long for the world, in your opinion? It's a you question.
Yeah, more of a me question. We don't want to... We never would wish any company to go under. People put their heart and soul into making whiskey for us as consumers. So we want to see people succeed. So I'm not going to name any specific distilleries. But what I do think it's going to be harder to stay afloat if all you're doing is sourcing MGP or sourcing something else and throwing it in a bottle and you're not doing anything else to it.
Not adding your own flavor to it.
Yeah, I think the consumers are getting a little bit more educated and over the fake stories that, back to the marketing fluff, there's literally people.
I get offended by you calling marketing fluff.
You are in marketing. I told you in a recent video that if she needs to set me straight, she'll set me straight. Like, you just saw it right there.
It's not all fluff, okay?
Right. But in whiskey, there definitely is some.
There is some, but don't automatically assume it's all fluff.
But people will source whiskey from MGP. Yeah. They'll literally make up a fake story just because it sounds good.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then they'll put a label on it and try to sell it, And I think consumers are kind of over that, and we're not tolerating that behavior anymore.
Yeah, agree.
I think those are going to struggle the most. And I think people who are relying solely on finishing to try to make whiskey better are also going to struggle as well. But we shall see.
Yeah, we'll find out. Yeah. All right, Art Beck WA asks, What is the whiskey from the past that you most miss? Either because it's changed from what it was or because it's not attainable anymore. For me, it's Noah Mills 15.
Read that bonus question at the end.
Okay.
I didn't even know that Noah Mills 15 was a thing.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. That's impressive. Do you have an answer to this question?
I just recently, as of 2021, started getting into whiskey, so I don't really have much I miss from the past.
That's not true. You've been drinking whiskey for a decade.
I've been drinking it, but I wasn't really into it enough to know what
miss something
miss something.
Yeah, I think I miss. I've tasted releases that have come out that I really wish I could have got my hands on before they went crazy.
That's a good point.
Chiefly Booker's Rye from 2016 or 2016.
Wow.
Booker's Rye. Yeah, I miss that. I didn't have an opportunity. I wasn't nerdy enough about whiskey back then to know that I should buy that.
You should get it.
That's a big one for me. And every single barrel that I love that is now gone. But we're going to keep on finding the next new awesome single barrel.
There'll be making more.
Yeah.
All right, so there's a bonus question here.
Yes.
36 millimeter. We're getting into watch world.
I should have worn my Explorer.
This is a disclaimer. Watches if you're not interested. Yeah. 36 millimeter Explorer on a 7.5 plus wrist. Yay or nay? 7.5.
Yay.
Inch.
Yes.
Plus.
Yay. The answer is yay.
Josh always. Is all about the 36 millimeter.
They're so comfortable. They're so classic and classy.
Watch faces?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
I learned
it's such a classic size. And it's, some people say that they're too small or whatever. I don't think that's true. I think if you wear it and it feels good to you, enjoy it.
Thank you for your question. All right. Cyberfield Marshall 1000.
I can't take her anywhere.
1009 asks, oh gosh, you led right into this. Josh, I'm a watch guy, and I noticed you rocking what looks to be an Explorer and a Submariner. Would like to hear your story on your watch journey. Can you keep this short, please, sir?
Yeah, we're not going to belabor the point here.
Okay, thank you for your question.
We both were born in the 80s, early
Yes.
80s. I grew up around calculator watches and video game watches. I remember calculator watches were amazing because you could do math on them and the teachers didn't really know what was going on.
If you're going like this, I'm sure they could probably figure
with
out.
my little bitty kid fingers, you could do it. But in video game watches especially. So I love those. And then I got into G-Shocks in the 90s. Then I found the Omega Speedmaster and it was just all downhill after that. So yes, you do see an Explorer and a Submariner. I'm a really big fan of the 80s, 90s, and 2000s era of those types of watches.
Yep.
And they feel the best on my wrist, which is why I wear them the most, but I'm big into micro brands. I'll put a link in the video description to my Instagram account. I will not say it's defunct necessarily. It's got a ton of content, years of content on it.
You just don't post to it at all now.
Really, yeah. But you could go back to the beginning and read through and you'll see the watches I would love to have the most I can't afford. Even the watches I currently have, I couldn't really afford because I bought them when I didn't have enough sense to know that I shouldn't spend that on watches. So I'm very thankful and grateful that I have them and I've made a ton of memories in them and they're very sentimental to me. And I love mechanical things and mechanical watches definitely fall within that sphere. Yeah. But it's just a cool hobby. I love it a ton. The thing that I'm interested in most now are micro brands that are doing cool, interesting things. And I really like Grand Seiko. So.
Yep. Okay. Troy Toole asks, which whiskey tube channels do y'all subscribe to?
Now who do you subscribe to?
I subscribe to 0 whiskey channels.
She doesn't need to subscribe to our channel.
I don't even subscribe to our channel because it'll mess up my algorithm. I don't want my algorithm messed up. So
you don't want to see whiskey content and your knitting content?
No. I have knitting content and then I have fashion, slow fashion vlogger content, if that's what it's called.
Yeah. So none for you is the answer.
0.
For me, a ton.
Yeah.
A ton. And a lot of it is I don't have time to watch everything I subscribe to. And I don't want to start naming people for fear of leaving somebody out or slighting somebody. I will say that for me, a couple of the channels out there that are newer channels that have really high production value, I value that.
Yeah.
I love good production value. All the big channels, subscribe to all of them. There's specific things that I do and don't watch because I don't want other people's content to even subconsciously influence what we do. But then there's also people who I don't ever miss their videos.
Yeah.
And we love all our fellow creators. I do want to give a shout out to Peter Fasciano at Whiskey is a Journey. A fantastic production value, great guy. I'll put a link to his channel in the video description below. And then also a channel I found just the other day that I thought had really, really good production value is, I think it's Artfully Bourbon. I was stunned. Artfully Bourbon. I'll put a link. They have 814 subscribers. Fantastic.
Let's go
production value.
Boost that subscription for
run that up. A couple of guys. I think they're in Missouri.
Cool.
Check them out down in the video description below. I appreciate everybody and love y'all. You're going to get subs from me just because I think you deserve one. Creating content is not easy.
It's not for the faint of heart.
Putting yourself out there is not for the faint of heart, but the ones I love the most are the ones that really focus on the production value.
Thank you for your question, Troy. Okay. Oh, we got another one from Troy. Will Aaron make it to an Ohio State home game this coming season? I sure hope so, Troy. I'm
looking at you, okay?
I really want.
You're watching this right now. Aaron, for a season of her life, went to Ohio State University, and she told me
the Ohio State University.
Roll Tide. But nonetheless, she told me that she would marry me if I would take her to an Ohio State Michigan football game at, what do they call it, the Horseshoe?
Uh-huh.
The horse kennel, the horse trough.
Stop.
What's it called?
Nice.
Anyway, she wants me to take her to that dump. And
I told this to you 7 years ago.
And I'll take her there, but I need your help. I need tickets to the Michigan game at Ohio State this 2024
November 2024.
Season. Yeah. Help me out, please. I need it. I don't know if she's going to stay if I don't get them.
That's it. I'm done. I'm out. You had 7 years. We're done. All right. Justin Williams asks, if you were a bottle of whiskey, which bottle would you be and why?
Oh, I should have thought about it. I knew this question was coming and I should have thought about it.
So what's a bottle that's kind of sweet and kind of spicy?
I think Sagamore Double Oak applies to you.
Then that's what I am.
Because it's really sweet, but it's also got some spicy. It's got a little edge to it.
Got a little edge.
And you really like it.
I do really like it.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Because part of the question is, does the other person agree?
I think so, yeah.
Because we had talked about that one for me. Like, what would I be?
Yeah.
Sagamore Double Oaked?
Yeah. You're right. Like sweet and spicy. Yeah, that's what I would go with.
Okay, what about you?
Man, I really should have thought about this more.
Yeah, you should have. You put these questions together.
I would say that I would be like a single barrel of something.
Yes, because you do not want to be like anyone else. That checks out.
And it would probably be something that is comfortable doing its own thing. Like, it's not trying to be anything else necessarily.
So, like, what? What whiskey would that be? What comes to mind?
I don't know. I feel like I would be like, I feel like I would be like a Nashville Barrel Company single barrel or something. Like, bourbon, kind of.
I can see that.
It's unique in its own way. Maybe it's not the most unique thing in the world.
But it's good.
On. Listen, yeah, it's unique in its own way, but it's not the most unique thing in the world. I mean, look at me. I'm not the most unique thing in the world.
But you are.
I'm unique in my own way.
You are.
And if you like that kind of thing, maybe you will appreciate it.
But it's high quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're doing anything landmark there. They're sourcing whiskey. They're doing their own thing with it. They're doing some great aging. And they're turning out a really good product focused on really high quality.
Yeah.
And I think that's,
I agree. I feel like you're a Nashville Barrel Company bottle.
There we go. I'm Swag Junior.
You're Swag Junior.
That's too high praise. That's too high praise.
The bar is like way up here for Swag.
I'm not that. I'm not that.
Also, if you're not familiar with what Swag Junior is, it's a barrel pick we did. The name of it is a take on Stag Junior.
Yeah.
If you're new, I don't want you to get confused.
If you're watching this, we definitely are doing a Nashville Barrel Company pick this year. It probably already came out by March, but there may be more waiting in the wings, and you can find those on our Patreon link below. I don't know if I've said anything about Patreon in this video or not, but it's the best dang whiskey community on planet Earth. Video description, link below.
Yes.
Join our Discord. We release our barrel picks over through Patreon. We're talking whiskey on Discord. People are helping people find bottles.
Yep.
Fantastic community to be a part of.
Yep. That's a good question, Justin. Thank you for asking.
Great question.
All right. Last question from Matt Burns. This is a repeat from last time. How did you guys meet? Wrong answers only.
Well, you did tell them that you don't want whiskey stuff messing up your algorithm
no.
from your knitting.
No.
And Aaron, actually, we live in Nashville, Tennessee, and I don't know if you know this or not, but Nashville, Tennessee is a hotbed for knitting.
It is.
And Aaron's a competitive knitter on the side, just as like fun.
Yeah.
And so I used to be a UPS delivery guy, and so I had delivered to the convention center when they were having a competitive knitting contest, and I just saw this girl over there just
couldn't take his eyes off
going
me.
to town with those needles
so fast, and he was so impressed.
Yeah.
ask me out for a date.
Right
on the spot.
I've never seen someone sweat while they knit, but somehow
it's an arm workout.
She was glistening, and I just couldn't help myself. And the rest was history.
Here we are now.
Yep. While you're here now, like this video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you like the style of content. And hit the bell down there. Join us for a live stream. Let's hang out, talk, share a pour together.
But that's it for today. Be good to each other. And until next time, cheers.